We go over to the hate list, guys. Unfortunately, headlined by Jonathan Taylor. It's crazy to say that, but he's got a tough Denver defense. And, Jay, since Anthony Richardson has been back, Jonathan Taylor's production has gone significantly down.
Do you think this is more about Taylor, who doesn't look as explosive as he did, or is it about the offensive line just being really banged up and just hasn't been that great this
I
year?
think it's both. The line's dealt with a lot of injury. Yeah. Both tackles have been banged up throughout this year. We'll see if the line will be healthy going into this game. I know they have a couple guys in the injury report. And then Jonathan Taylor, you just have to wonder at some point, do you get worn down? We've seen injuries in the past, his running style, and of course, he loses red zone production, Matthew, when Richardson is on the field. And it's not just a little bit, it's a gigantic margin.
For sure. I mean, you see this graphic here on your screen, fewest fantasy points per touch since week 11. That's when Anthony Richardson returned. And no one in the NFL has a lower fantasy points per touch than Jonathan Taylor. Like, it's less than Blake Corum, Rhamondre Stevenson, the aforementioned Audric Estime. And so to your point about Richardson taking kind of the high leverage work, since week 11, Jonathan Taylor has seen only 38% of the Colts goal-to-go rushing attempts, and he has just a 3.9% target share. Richardson's not targeting him as all, and he's getting less than half of the goal-to-go rushes. Richardson's taking that. They're doing other things there as well, and you don't love this matchup at Denver, where the Broncos have the number one ranked run defense since week 7.
Yeah. Ryan Kelly is off IR. He should be back to play center, which will help. But Braden Smith is dealing with a personal matter, and he's not going to play. And there's some uncertainty around his availability the rest of the season. So I hope everything's okay with Braden Smith. But him being out really hurts Jonathan Taylor.
He's running back 23 for me this week, and it's just one of those things. Like, could he fall into the end zone? Of course he could. He's Jonathan Taylor. But I just sort of feel like if you made the playoffs, you did it because you got production from places other than Jonathan Taylor, who has not been good for a while fantasy-wise. And so chances are you have better options. Hasn't
been good in 3 years.
I know. You just don't want to, in the fantasy playoffs, you don't want to, you don't, if you can avoid it, you don't want to be in a position where I hope this sort of works out. Right, like I'm going to close my eyes and squint and kind of pray and hold my nose and think this might work out. Like you want as many sure things as you can, like whether it works out or not, but at least this is a good matchup, this is a good player, it's a good role, et cetera, et cetera. And there's just not a lot here to point to with Jonathan Taylor that makes you feel good.
Our next running back is Rhamondre Stevenson, who over the past 5 weeks, he's finished in the top 20 for running backs only one time, Matthew. This offense has really struggled, and Stevenson's a huge part of that.
Yeah, look, Patriots have the 7th lowest implied team total. We don't expect the Patriots to do a lot in this game at Arizona offensively, and so look, last week was an interesting game, obviously, but prior to that, the defense had actually been pretty good, right? Prior to last week's game, the Cardinals had allowed the third fewest fantasy points per game to opposing running backs. I think they get back to that. This is their season right here, the Cardinals, and I do think they have a big game. I think they win this game. I think Kyler has a good game, hint for what's coming up later here as well. So Rhamondre Stevenson is just merely running back 25. He's kind of touchdown dependent. Don't love the matchup, don't love the running back, don't have a lot of confidence in New England's offense.
It's not nearly to the same extent as with Anthony Richardson and Jonathan Taylor, but I do think sneakily Drake May coming in and just being a bit more mobile, taking a bit more running plays himself, does hurt Rhamondre around the edges.
And Antonio Gibson has been getting more and more work recently.
Right, and the scripts they could find themselves in. Like he's a between the tackles runner and a short area pass catcher, and just hasn't played in his favor. DeAndre Swift, another interesting one, guys, because, Jay, he's getting the touches. This backfield hasn't shifted over drastically to anyone else, but he's got 3 straight games with under 10 fantasy points. There's been no rushing production for him lately, and the Bears find themselves in a lot of halftimes where, we're down multiple scores, we need to go full throw script.
That's the issue. I think the issue with DeAndre Swift more than anything is that their defense has just collapsed. This is supposed to be one of the better defenses in the league coming into the season. Their run defense has fallen apart. They're giving up more explosive plays through the air as well. They were able to basically fix the San Francisco 49ers last week, and now they go up against the hottest quarterback in football outside of Josh Allen. That's Sam Darnold, coming off 5 touchdowns. So I think that it's going to be difficult as touchdown underdogs for Chicago to have game script for Swift to really go off.
By the way, and he's been not great for a while. 3 straight games where he's had single-digit fantasy points. And since week 9, here's the entire list of running backs that have scored more than 12.3 fantasy points against the Vikings. Bijan Robinson. That's the list. All due respect to DeAndre Swift, he is not Bijan Robinson. So, outside my top 25 for the week, he comes in at running back 27 for me at the moment. Ideally, you have better options than DeAndre Swift this week. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and Rotoworld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto-World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.